the last deposit we visited in Botswana was City Mine, owned by Discovery Metals. The ore body consists of chalcocite, bornite, and a minor amount of chalcopyrite. The mine just started production in September 2011. So when they took us to the pit, we didn't see much sulfide mineralization. We saw a lot of secondary mineralization like chrysocoll, malachite, and they also told us they have some azurite. The mineralization is hosted in sediments, mainly mudstones and siltstones, and a minor amount hosted in limestone. The copper cutoff is 0.3%. Then they took us to the exploration courtyard, and then the geologist there, Nine Wall of St. Mary, show us how the typical style of mineralization looks on core. They also show us the mineralization from other prospects that they own, like Mango and Plutus.
A rhyolite dome. So this one, the felsic volcanics here, I think the basalt's somewhere out there. I've never really seen them. So yeah, all the structure you see, I'm told is part of the forming of a rhyolite dome, but I don't know much about volcanics, so I'm relying on what other people tell me. The contact between the basement and the basin, the Nguako Pan, is somewhere maybe halfway or 2/3 of the way towards us from the mine. Now that's Zeta there. That's the plant over there. It's about 8 kilometres from Zeta to the plant, and then Plutus is just the other side of the plant. And if you Plutus is about 14 kilometres long, so it more or less starts over there and then somewhere over there. Now the hills you see in the distance are more Krebby volcanics, and just in front of those hills is our Ophion prospect, and that's about deposit. So that's about 35 kilometres away from here. Now between Ophion and Zeta are on the same structure, same line, and there's a bit of mineralisation to the southwest of Zeta. We haven't done too much work between here and Ophion. We're doing that at the moment. There's not much in the soil geochemistry, so there may not be much there. Now, to the south of those hills, there's another area we call Notus and Hemera. There doesn't appear to be much in there, and if you go further south from that, you end up at Hannah Mining's banana zone, or banana area. I think it's about 30 or 40 kilometres south of those. Banana is about 30 kilometres south of those hills. Now, up to in that direction there, we've got Zeta northeast, about 7 kilometres from Zeta, and we've got another series of prospects which go beyond that for another 35 kilometres. Now they're not all mineralised. We're just starting to do that work now, so there is more mineralisation up there. We're just not sure what just yet. And then if we follow the Plutus line up for another 30 kilometres, you go through Plutus northeast, which is in the resource, and then into an area we call Maya. We've just finished initial work there, and there's mineralisation there, but again, we're just not sure what at the moment. So our tenement package goes from the village past Mara called Kamana, which is in 35 to 40 kilometres in that direction, to the Namibian border, which is 200 kilometres in that direction. So basically our tenement package is about 280 kilometres long by 50 or 60 kilometres wide. So here we're only seeing the top northern third of it. You see lithic clasts, and they're from here. And the lithogeochemistry of the siltstones and mudstones are elevated in scandium and chromium and vanadium and all those mafic things, but they've also got some of the acidic things in them as well. So they've got I've forgotten exactly, but certainly lithium's there and a few other of these things which you expect from acidic volcanics or acidic igneous rocks. So it's fairly happy that these rocks, these here, form a major component of the basin out there.
And so the basin is thought to be Indian Neoproterozoic in age?
Well, no, well, maybe.
Hello everyone. So this is our mine. This is our Zeta pit. Boseto Zeta pit. And the pit is, where it's relatively deep is about 30 meters. Only 30 meters deep. Where it is relatively deep, but then the other side, like over there, it's relatively shallow, maybe 10 or 15 meters that side. As you might have learned from the today, did you have just a brief introduction of the geology around there?
No, we didn't.
You didn't? Huh? As you might know, our deposit or copper ore is sediment hosted. It's actually hosted by greenish mudstone and a bit of sandstone, and of course some subordinate limestone. Not very significant really, but the bulk of the deposits is within the mudstone, the greenish mudstone. On the hanging, on the footwall side, we have got the oxidized grayish sandstone. Oxidized grey sandstone. So there's actually a great distinction between the footwall and where the ore is. I mean, of course, the hanging wall is the rocks in the hanging wall are the same as those in the mineralization. The only difference is that in the mineralization there, that one is mineralized, and the width ranges from 10 to 25 meters maximum, but on average 12. Yeah. The whole body is dipping, and is dipping to the west. Around at this depth, it's dipping around 80 degrees.
80 degrees.
Yes. It's always on the platform between the last 25 meters, maximum 85 meters into the next.
Okay, so you've got a contact on the footwall side. On the hanging wall side, is that just a grade boundary?
Yeah, it's
Just
a
a
good
the grade diminishes as you go away from the footwall.
Yeah, exactly. On the footwall side, we've got a hard grade boundary, but on the hanging wall side, it's actually tails off until it's in the side.
How consistent is that width of
I would say it's very consistent.
very consistent? Primary material, is it just sulfides? Is there any quartz and carbonate?
Okay.
The ore occurs as sulfides. Is there any other minerals that occur with the ore, such as quartz or carbonate?
Yeah, we've got some carbonates, especially at the contact with the thinness of carbonate at the footwall hanging wall contact. Of course, it's part of the mineralization. It's part of the mineralization that carbonate. Yeah, but only the lower part of the carbonate, which is actually mixed with the mudstone, is mineralized. But the bulk of the carbonate, mudstone,
What oxidation minerals? So you've got sulfides, what oxidation minerals with the sulfides?
we've got the oxide. We've got a face here. This is still on this has been faced from the hanging wall side. Actually, the footwall is that side. Is that greyish sandstone you see over there? There's been actually a blast that side and it overspilled this side. But this is our wall faced from the hanging wall site. Still in the oxide zone here. That's the greenish malachite and chrysocolla that we have over there. Of course, we have. You can also see our mudstone this side. That are the mudstone and some sandstone that are steeply deep. You can see they are steeply deep, almost sub-vertical from there.
Well, the high grade zones.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like that through there.
Okay. Well, sorry, but the vein, but they're on the margins. The mineralisation is not in the quartz.
No.
No. Okay, so
It's
so
against
peripheral to those.
Is this your football material? This sandstone? Of course.
Yeah, that's the football material.
Yeah, that's the thing there.
Yeah.
We get the mineralised veins are the deformed veins, unmineralised veins are deformed. And these are basically sub-parallel to bedding. But it's,
Yeah.
combination.
Sub-parallel. So it's come up. Presumably, it's formed when the sediments were flat lying.
Well, it could just be layer parallel shearing.
Very porous. And I thought
So
maybe
shearing.
that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons it's so that.
I'll have to. I'll explain a bit more when we get.
Yeah. Okay. So it hasn't
Much easier.
risen up and then spread out in a horizontal bedding.
No. Geology. Mound is up here. Excuse me. And we travelled down this road this morning. The first village is somewhere in here, Kamana. So our PL starts more or less opposite Kamana. Drove down here to Toteng, on down here, the old Hunsley Road to here, and then onto the mining lease here. So this is Plutus there, the plant is there, that is Zeta there, and we're here now. What I've got here is a geological map, and it's a very simple map. It's been done from the Aeromag, regional Aeromag data, which is in the background here, and you don't really see it so well on here, but the regional Aeromag is really good for this area because it maps out the geology very well through this belt here. The other thing is these red lines are our PL, so this is in our ASX releases we refer to the Boseto area, which is projects which will feed material to the Boseto plant. The Mid-Kalahari area, which is around here, where we think there's not so much cover, and so we're probably looking at open pit deposits. And down here, the southwest Hansi district area, where because of all the cover, particularly out over here, we had 60-70 metres of true cover. We're probably going to be an open pit mine, an underground mine if we find anything. And these are PLs which we became active at the start of April, so we're starting to work on that now. So from there to there is, well, here's the Namibian border, so from there to there is 280 kilometres, and I haven't worked it out, that might be 100 kilometres across. For the most part, we've done most of our work up around this area. It's now starting to work and getting a lot of work down in this area down here. The basement is this stuff here. It's highly magnetic, complex magnetic signature. Then we have the Ingraco Pan Formation, which is the base of the sedimentary package, and they're continental sandstones. Some conglomerates, but not very much. Normally when we see them, they're red to purple, but we also find them reduced. Typically fairly medium to coarse grain, some pebble conglomerates. But overall, we just don't see much in the way of conglomerates. They seem to be very quartz rich, but with lithic fragments, and geochemically they're pretty good. Above that we have the Car Formation. The Car Formation is siltstones, sandstones and limestone, and there's no real true limestone as such, I don't think. Certainly on this side, over on the other side there may be. When I refer to that, when I refer to this side, I'm talking about this side of the hill, so this part over here, and when I refer to that side, I'm talking about that side of the hills, which is over here. And we're finding some differences between the geology here and the geology here. geology there. But at the base of the Dakar Formation, certainly on this side, is a carbonate unit which is about that thick, and we've hidden in drill holes from around about here all the way down to around about there, over 100 kilometres, and it's that thick, or pretty much all the way along. So it's pretty unusual. That's unusual to find a carbonate unit that thick, consistently that thick, over 100 kilometres. Then we go into our siltstones, which host mineralisation in sandstone, and then above that you get into interbedded shale, black shales, sandstones, and karstitic sandstones and sandy limestones. And then on top of that is a Mamuno formation, which I'm not really seeing, and it's meant to be mainly sandstones and siltstones. Overall, we're going from continental sedimentation to shallow water to deep water. It goes fairly quick, and there's only appears to be one cycle. Over on this side here, we're finding a bit more limestone, possibly a true limestone, and the mineralisation, you'll see it before, mineralisation is hosted slightly differently. Mineralisation is normally at the base of the Dakar Formation, but at Ophion we get several mineralised zones over 100 metres, and at Mango over here, certainly northeast Mango, we're getting mineralisation sitting above about 20-30 metres above the contact with the Quaco Pan, and it's hosted by limestone.
So where were the ridge we went to? Where is that on the map?
Oh, it'll be just here. Stepping out a little bit. Oh, sorry. These are the Karoo here. So this funny stuff through here is Karoo basalt, and these are the Karoo age dikes coming through here. So there, that's that Permian through the Triassic. It's Karoo that hosts the coal, but I guess you guys would have looked at Karoo down in Francistown. Stepping out a bit, I don't have a decent map of southern Africa, but here we've got the Kalahari Craton, up here we've got the Congo Craton, and somewhere through here is the boundary, and nobody quite knows where it is or what's going on. Sedillo Resources are working right up against the Namibian border, and they've found rocks which Murray Hitzman thinks is quite a lot like Zambia. So there's some copper there. They've got iron ore there and so on. And their produce is iron ore there. So that's what they're chasing after. They were originally looking for diamonds, and they found kimberlites, but they didn't find diamonds. But they drilled all these magnetic fridges, and they hit this iron formation, and it hit ultramafics and all sorts of odd things. So very odd geology up there. Down this side it's very much simpler. Here we're in a fold and thrust belt, verging in that direction there. Really not much to say about it. We have big thrust coming through here, all the way down there. I didn't put all the structure on this map, it makes it a bit more complicated. But series of thrusts through here, series of domes, so we have anticlines through here. There, that's a big anticline through here, and then synclines with the Dakar Formation up to the Mamuno Formation. At least two deformations. The first one has produced these elongate structures there. The second one comes through somewhere here, northwest and northwest. Fairly subtle, but it might be fairly important for mineralisation. Oh, that's right. Now, I suppose one of the interesting things here, I did my PhD in Adelaide Fold Belt as part of the Myra project looking at the Zambia Copper Belt. And so I'm looking at rocks which are Neo-Proterozoic from from about 850 million years to Cambrian. And what you see there is very similar to what you see in Zambia. You have the big evaporative units, and you have the what's across the border called the Grand Conglomerate. Essentially it's a Sturgeon conglomerate, and then you go up to the Petit Conglomerate, which is the Maranam glaciation. Here we don't see any of those rocks at all. There's no evaporites, there's no diamantite, there's no glacial sediments. So traditionally these have been correlated with Zambia, but that may not be the case. We know that these rocks we're standing on here are about 1,106 million years old, so they're latest Mesoproterozoic, but we've got no idea of the age of the rocks that host the mineralisation. Now, I did send off a sample for geochronology. We do have a little bit of volcanic spot, hills of volcanics, sitting just above mineralisation. But the person that was going to do that hasn't done that, so I still don't know how old they are. So anyway, I've still got to do that one. So there is a possibility they could be Mesoproterozoic, or they could be certainly older than 850 million years. We don't know. But it might be very significant if that's true. The deformation we assume to be Pan-African. So similar in age in terms
In terms of your sediment source, the rhyolites and mafic you were saying up at that ridge, the basement that the trials are shedding, but don't they then become part of that package, the basement package?
Well, they could well be. That's one of the problems. I mean, bear in mind, there's more I don't know about this the geology here than I do know. And we've got a student from Colorado School of Mines, one of the students who masters here. He's probably going to go about the PhD. I've got a guy, a Botswana guy, who's doing some work in Krakow in Poland at one of the universities there. And I've got a couple of others. I'm looking for a PhD student to do basic analysis and start looking at those sorts of things. So we've got a hell of a lot of work to do here before we actually begin to start to understand what's going on. Now, I'll just go to the next one. This one is just the areas. So when in our releases we talk about Maya, Selene, Erebus, Mango, and so on. So I'll read that one now. Up until roughly the start of November last year, and these are copper metre percent. So essentially, purple is above 20 metre percent copper, red is 10 to 20, yellow is 5 to 10, and then essentially less than 5 is blue. And so you can see that our best mineralisation is here at Plutus, Zeta northeast, a few things around Petra here, northeast Mango through here, and a couple of things down here at southwest Mango and Ophium, and here at Selene. So bear in mind, this was current till November. If I redid this now, I've got to redo it. This map would be a bit different. We've got what sort of model you want to follow. But certainly there is a strong structural component to it, and you'll see that in the core. You saw it a little bit in the pit, but really we didn't see the best part of the mineralisation, which is really strongly sheared and folded.
Do you think there's much offset on those thrust faults or reverse faults with the regional scale? Yeah,
there has to be. The amount of offset I'm not really sure. But again, it's one of those things that has to be done.
What is the effect of the dikes, the canoe dikes? Because I can see these dikes there.
Yep. Well, yeah, they could be following a pre-existing structure, or extension is in that direction basically for the Karoo. So, but they could easily be following pre-existing structures. And you do see that in some places like here, where all of a sudden they take a bit of a detour. So that might be some of these old Neoproterozoic structures sort of taking up some of the strain in the extension and opening up. It is. We've been working here for 7 years, or for actually 6 years, I guess, and for much of that time we've been chasing our tails, making sure we get a resource up and running and a mine up and running. And so now we're just starting to look at all those problems now. But there's a whole series of these problems in terms of understanding the regional geology and the mineralisation, how it all fits in together, and the structure, the whole bit. And we are just starting to look at that now.
Do you know what contact effects of the dikes have on mineralisation?
Not really, because there's no outcrop. There's no way you can really just go up and say, look, here's mineralisation, here's the dike, this is what's happening. Down here at this dike here, this is northeast Mango too. We're just doing resource drilling in here now to produce an inferred resource, and we're drilling that dike at the moment just to work out how thick it is, so we've put into our resource model, and that might help to give us an idea of if there's any process upgrade or downgrade mineralisation. Now, in terms of the mineralisation, certainly at Zeta it's primarily chalcocite, but as I said, I think that's probably secondary. Because as we drill deeper, our deepest hole at Zeta is 600 metres vertical depth. We get a lot more bornite and our silver grades go up. So it would seem that it's a fair bit that our chalcocite is secondary. There's some primary, but there's certainly a lot of secondary. And we do get native copper and crucible and malachite. There's we do get the regular we get the regular zoning also of hematite, chalcocite, bornite, chalcopyrite, and also geochemical zoning of copper, lead, zinc. We get a bit of barite, and then we get some other stuff a little bit further away. And that is certainly vertically and probably laterally as well. We see some of it laterally, not all of it laterally. So in that sense, there's no real big difference between what's seen here and what's seen in Zambia and Cooper Chief and other places. Now, what our guy that's doing the research in Poland has been looking at mineralogy in quite a lot of detail, and he's turning up a few odd minerals. Our copper mineralisation associated with bismuth with a tiny little bit of gold. I think our best is about 0.4 grams per tonne gold, and obviously silver as well. But the guy in Poland is finding bismuth minerals, tellurite minerals, and platinum minerals. There's not much platinum here, but he's certainly finding these platinum minerals. And that might be pointing to maybe some sort of ultramafic input as well. Certainly in terms of the source for the fluids, or source for the metals. And also, we do get moly up to about, I think our highest is about 0.8% moly. We're not sure if it's economic, but we're looking at that. Our lead zinc, some of it is approaching ore grade, but it's really very narrow. It might be more of a nuisance than it's worth. Other differences, over here we're getting some fluorite coming in, which is not good, and down here we're getting arsenopyrite, quite a bit of arsenopyrite in that area. This might be slightly high temperature than other areas. So what we found is, if I just go to the next one, these have got all the deposits on them so far. So in this area here, we're finding that although there's lots of similarities between the different deposits, there are also sufficient differences to make it interesting. And each one is a little bit different from the other. And Mary will show you some of those differences when you're looking at the core. As a district, this has got all the prospects on. So Zone 6 is in Hannah's ground. I think the best hole in the entire area that was drilled at Zone 6, and I've forgotten the exact grade, but it was maybe 1 or 2 holes and then surrounded by a lot of nothing. Zone 5 runs into our Mango, northeast Mango. Hannah Mining quote a resource of about 20 million tonnes at 1.4% or 1.5% copper. And banana, really banana is the whole thing around here. We've got the chalcocite zone down the bottom, but banana is similar to our mineralisation, similar grades and thicknesses, similar also potty nature to it, and I'm not quite sure what the resources are. They've had to redo the resources and new resources out this month, I think. This chalcocite zone is an area where it's lower grade, it's about 30 metres thick, but it's 0.5% copper, and it's around this hinge here. We think there's more.
And
And then Zeta northeast is northeast of Zeta. Then we'll look at from Ophion. Ophion is southwest of Zeta. And then we'll look at from Plutus. Plutus and Zeta form a syncline. Plutus is over here, Zeta northeast. And then we'll see from Mengo, northeast Mengo 1, northeast Mengo 2, and southwest Mengo, which are on the other side of the hill. Section from Zeta. This section is from here. This is the pit outline in green, and this is where they started mining. So Zeta basically has the Wapokan formation, which is sandstones that Wallace has explained, and the Dakar formation, which is sandstones, saltstones, and mudstones. And then our mineralization is hosted by limestones and quasi-calcite veins at the contact between the Wapopan and the Dakar formation. This is where we get our best grades, as you can see from the section. So 1142, which is this hole, had an intercept of 15 meters at 1.5% copper and 10.2 meters at 2% copper, with 43.8 grams per ton of silver. This is on another section. Yes. So this is 1317. It's this section here. These are the last 3 holes to be drilled in Plutus. And this is the pit outline as well. Plutus is different from Zeta. Plutus we have high grade drills and then low grade, high grade, as compared to Zeta where we have one huge solid pit. So the mineralization styles in Plutus are also similar to the ones in Zeta. Our best mineralization still sits along the contact of the Dakar and Wapopan, and it's mostly chalcocite, bonite, and chalcopyrite. And we see well-defined mineral zonation, starting with chalcopyrite at the top, bonite and chalcocite, then hematite. Then we have veins that are deformed or stretched along foliation planes. Those are the ones that cause our mineralization. They are usually calcite veins, as you can see on the top. With this hole, we're trying to test if our mineralization extended deeper for underground mining. And after this, we drilled about 24 holes to confirm. And we realized that there's mineralization down deep, so we are planning an underground mine in Zeta when we finish doing open pit. Yes. We see only that unit in Zeta and Zeta Northeast. It's usually pink and brecciated with clusters of the surrounding rocks. Same lithologies, mudstones and sandstones from the Dakar formation, but Zeta Northeast is more deformed than Zeta. And this whole here is what we call a transition zone because we have both malachite and choice of color carrying with chalcocite. And mineralization, that's why we have the first high-grade mineralization on the section. It's hosted by these veins that have been brecciated or folded. This is where we'll be having the black shape, and this is the felsic unit here. Salamit. It's more reddish here. You can see it clearly. It usually has a bend about 20 centimeters maximum. Yes, we see it in Zeta Northeast and Selene. Formation pep. And then we have the Dakar green. We have some mineralization at the contact here, but not as good as in Zeta and Zeta Northeast. And we have our best mineralization sitting up there.
So where did you say the best mineralization was? Yeah.
This is Zeta here, and this is Plutus on the other side of the limb.
Okay.
On the other limb. This is Zeta, and this is Nexus in between. Nexus and Zeta form a syncline. Plutus and Zeta form an anticline, not a syncline. Correction. So we have one more aspect in between Zeta and Plutus. I haven't laid out the core because it's not good. So this is Plutus. You see the Wakuptan formation. Here we have less grid beds like as compared to Zeta and Zeta Northeast. And then we have the mineralization here. And the limestone that we see here is slightly different from the limestone that we see in Zeta. But we still have our best mineralization being hosted by quartz calcite veins.
What is the difference?
In Zeta, we have about 3 meters of limestone at the contact, which is not well defined. But in Plutus, we have this limestone unit here, which looks like it's been bleached or something. But our mineralization still sits at the contact, and we still see the deformations. If you look at these stringers here, they look like they've been sheared. There's been shearing after mineralization.
Might need some water to see that.
Where's the water?